Guys, welcome. I'm just gonna go ahead and put on some music. Nice to see you. Welcome. Our first series. We'll pause the music for now and then I'll put it back on when we wait. But welcome to our first workshop of the series, Go With The Flow, where I'm going to be breaking down most yoga postures. So all of the basics are going to be covered today and throughout the next couple of weeks. I will record the workshop, so in case you miss any, you can return and watch them again. But yeah, as per usual, we're going to wait 5 minutes or so. As we know, people come in, trickle in afterwards. So everyone chill out for a second. Go ahead and grab a yoga mat or just find an open space around you. And if you have a blanket, you can grab a blanket because it might be useful for some of the poses. So I'm going to now and we will get started shortly.
I'll make it better. I'll make it better. You never have to worry about me. I'll make it better. Baby, there's no pressure. This love is made for us, you'll see. Fruit gets ripe and it's love. Bites and angels sit up above. It's never enough just to say your love stayed. Fruit gets ripe and it's love. Bites and angels like to get rough. Too thin now when it gets too much. You need to make me love stay. You need to make me love stay down. I'll make it better. I'll make it better. I'll make it better. You need to make me love stay. Slipping back into happiness 'cause you give me more time to live a life that seems like mine. You make me drowsy with delight. And then slipping back into feeling best 'cause you are so damn fine. And I'll skip into the sunlight with you and skip back at midnight. I'll make it better for you. I'll make it better for you. I'll make it better for you. You need to make me love stay down. I'll make it better. I'll make it better. I'll make it better. You need to make me love stay down. You need to make me love stay down. You need to make me love stay.
We'll get started shortly. Hang on. Oh, Natalie, this song is called Love Stained by Hope Tala. And give it 1 or 2 more minutes in case anybody else wants to join.
True, it's a dance we know the moves. The bow, the dip, the woo. Though the words are true, the state is old news. Wrap me in your arms. I can't feel it, but rock me in your arms. I can't feel it, but
Okay, so can everyone hear me all right, by the way, still? There is no check-in, no. But if anybody can let me know if they can hear me all right, that would be great. I just put in my headphones. Awesome. Thank you, Celeste, with the thumbs up. Okay, so beautiful. So welcome officially, everybody. Very nice to see you. Very nice to meet you. My name is Victoria. I am a registered yoga teacher and a health educator here at the Healthy Living Program. And just to give you some context of what we're even doing today, a couple of weeks ago, and what I've done always, I've done little yoga flows here and there for everybody. I know a couple of you have come to them before, but I know that some of us are a little more of a beginner when it comes to yoga. And I wanted to really break down all of the postures, the asanas, so that you can feel a little bit more equipped to actually go through a class and just like enjoy it and not worry about not knowing things. But I think it's also really nice to know the benefits, right? Because there are many health benefits for different postures with yoga as well. So with that being said, there is no check-in link. There is going to be an evaluation at the very end though. And so we're going to break down the following foundations. Not all of these are postures. As you can see, ujjayi breath is not a posture, but this is the foundations part of things. And this is also your opening of your practice, generally speaking. This is what we would consider what you would do just to sort of land on your mat. Yeah, so we're going to go over ujjayi breath, balasana, child's pose, cat cow, down dog, cobra and up dog, forward fold, halfway lift, and a mountain pose, Tadasana pose. So this is really just the beginnings of this. Like I said, in all of the workshops moving forward, we're going to address many different other postures, some that are a little bit more difficult, so to speak, as well. So we're going to start with your ujjayi breath. And if you have not already found a space in which you can just practice these things here and there, please go ahead and do so. And we're going to get started. So your ujjayi breath, it's basically the loud, obnoxious yoga breath that you might hear myself or other people do in class when you hear them breathing loudly and you're like, oh my God, why is that person breathing so loudly? There's a reason. It's from your ujjayi breath. So it is also known as your victorious breath or your oceanic breath. I also like to call it your Darth Vader breath because you sound like Darth Vader. And so the whole point of it is to increase the sound of your breath, right? Focus on the sound, increase the volume of that sound so that you're listening and doing to that same action. And what that does is it increases your awareness of this present moment, which that's basically a big, big, big part of yoga, right? Is being present in this moment. So you're going to hear teachers from time to time say something like, start tapping into your ujjayi breath or find your ujjayi breath. And this is basically what it is. So I'm going to instruct you all first on how to do it, and then we're going to do 5 rounds together, okay? So you're going to breathe in and out through your nose only. So go ahead, let it out through your mouth for now. Let it all go. When you breathe in through your nose, I want you to feel both nostrils breathing in air equally. And maybe you even heard that noise that I made. When I go to exhale, I'm creating a soft restriction at the back of my throat so that it makes a louder noise. So maybe you heard that. So try it with me. Inhale, fill up, create a loud noise in. And exhale through your nose, loud noise out. For me, I like to softly bring my tongue to the roof of my mouth, as it helps me sort of create that little restriction in the back of my throat. So let's do 5 of these together. Ready? Inhale in and release. See if you can just listen to the sound. Inhale and exhale. Notice if you can make it a little louder. Inhale and exhale. One more. Inhale in and exhale. So ujjayi breath. Increase awareness of the present moment. It increases relaxation, reduces stress, reduces distractions, but it is the foundation of our asana practice. So ujjayi is pranayama, your breath work, your breath practice. Our asana practice, which we're going to talk about in a second, are the postures. So when I talk about utilizing your breath with the rest of the postures, this is the breath I'm talking about. Do we have any questions about ujjayi breath before I move on? And you can always put them in the chat or unmute yourself. Up to you. Nada? Okay, cool. So the first asana is balasana, or child's pose. So if you've taken class with me, very often I start with child's pose because it stretches the hips, the torso, ankles. It releases tension in your back and your shoulders, and it eases your way into your practice. So that's why we normally put it at the beginning, right? So now if you do have a blanket with you or maybe a pillow, grab it now. And we're gonna break down child's pose. So it seems like an easy pose, I guess it is technically speaking. However, there's a lot that goes into it and different variations of child's pose too. So I want everybody to start by bringing your big toes to touch at the back of your yoga mat. And then allow your knees to come out somewhat wider than the hips. So for me, I like bringing my knees all the way to the edges of my yoga mat. However, you might feel like that might be too big of a hip opener for you. So just a little bit wider than your hip line is perfectly fine. And you see how I have my sits bones, my booty on my heels? That's where it should be. And now everybody start to walk your hands forward and rest your forehead on the mat. Now this is where your pillow comes into play. You might want to bring your pillow under your sits bones. And actually, I'm going to stop sharing for a second so that you can see me better, because you're probably away from your computer. So this is where your pillow can come in handy, is you're gonna bring it under your hips, right? So that there is something supporting you. Because oftentimes, not everybody can sit their hips all the way back, right? Some of us are up here, and that's totally okay. So if you're up here, grab that pillow, place it on top of your heels, and then you can also place multiple pillows depending on how high your hips are, right? What we want to do is just create support. So back to this pose. Crawl your fingertips forward and then rest your forehead on the mat. This is my favorite pose to do in the morning. And there's a lot of things going on here. So I'm about to just walk you through all of it, okay? So starting with your hips, I want you to notice if you're clenching your butt or clenching any muscles around the hips. Can you just like relax those? Relax your toes. And now I want to bring your attention to your side waists. So where your hip starts all the way up through the side of your torso. What we want to find is length through those side waists. So notice, right, if you can maybe
Crawl the fingertips forward a little bit more while keeping your elbows resting on the mat. And then find length through the side body. So you should definitely be feeling this in your chest and your shoulders. It's a nice shoulder opener too. And so can you relax the muscles in that space? And then lastly, with your hands, with your fingers, spread your fingertips wide and then draw your pinky fingers to the edges of your mat. So there's a lot going on here. By widening the arms, we are creating more space in the upper back and in the shoulders. And then normally we would hold this for about 5 to 10 breaths, which we're not going to right now, but that is normally how long you would hold it for. So that is child's pose variation number 1. Variation number 2 that I would like to show you. Bring your knees together to touch, and maybe you take your pillow out or maybe you keep it under you. I'm sitting on my heels still. But this one is really good for if you have some strain in the shoulders or in the upper back. So this is a much more restorative version of your child's pose. You're going to bring your fingertips out behind you, resting your forehead on the mat again. But this time, as you can see, I'm allowing my shoulders to roll in. Internal rotation of the shoulder cuff. And you should really notice here the nice stretch, but also release that you're getting from your sacrum all the way through your neck. And it's really nice to release any tension in the shoulders. And also it's a very restorative version, like I said earlier. So yeah, you can hold this one for as long as you would like as well. So child's pose balasana, that is the full breakdown. Do I have any questions about child's pose before we move on? Yes, no, maybe so. All right, cool. Do I have a question? Oh yeah, child's pose is the best for sure. So cat cow. Thank you about my plants. So for cat cow pose, and so this is what you would do coming out of child's pose. Cat cow is like the yummiest thing in my opinion. Like it's really something that just makes me feel like so much better. It improves your posture, stretches the back, stretches the abdomen, helps to stimulate all the internal organs. It warms up the spine, the neck. But it also helps to sync up breath with movement, which is why we do it right after child's pose. So cat cow is done on all fours, as you can see. So let's go ahead and break down this cat cow. So everyone come onto all fours. And it's funny because I think in a way, right, we might be thinking, oh, a lot of this is obvious, but there's so much more to it than we think sometimes too. So come on to all fours, and I want you to spread your fingertips wide right away. So get really active in those fingertips, gripping into the palms, or I'm sorry, gripping into the fingers so that you almost feel like your palms are slightly lifted off of your mat, yeah? Your gaze is going to come right down between your thumbs. And as you notice, I'm slightly pushing the mat away from me so that I'm not dumping into my shoulders. I'm sort of creating space between the shoulder blades. And right away, I'm slightly engaging my core here because I want a neutral pelvis. I don't want to start here. I want to start at a very neutral tabletop. So maybe that means that you tuck your tailbone under slightly. And my hips are stacked right over my knees. My feet are at the top. So I'm on the top of my feet. So this is your neutral tabletop, yeah? As you inhale, I want you to drop the belly, lift the chest, roll the shoulder blades back, and look forward. So sometimes what you'll hear or what you'll see in class is this. I don't want us to do that. I want us to look forward. Why? Because cow pose, which is what we're in right now, cow pose is so much more about the chest lifting and less about arching the back. So lifting your chest, focus on that lift of the chest more than the arch of the back, but also focus on lifting the sits bones. So it's different than focusing on your back per se. All right, staying with me. So inhale, look forward, draw the shoulders back. As you exhale, we're going to find cat pose. Start by tucking the tailbone under. So I love to start with the tailbone first. Feel each part of your spine slowly roll and hollow out. Tuck your belly button up towards your spine. Push the ground away from you, maintaining a really good grip in those fingertips. Now we're really using it to push away. Tuck your chin towards your chest and push your shoulder blades apart so that you feel that space in the middle of your upper back. So this is your cat pose. So let's take one more. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, look forward, draw the shoulder blades back. And exhale, tuck the chin towards the chest and the tailbone towards the chin, really rounding out the spine from the tailbone through the neck. And that would be with your exhale. So normally as you inhale, you find cow pose. As you exhale, you find cat pose. And don't forget your neutral tabletop position. So yes, cat-cow, that is the traditional way to do it. However, you'll hear me and I'm sure other teachers from time to time, tell you to do things like taking circles, maybe little neck circles one way, hip circles. There are a lot of ways that you can really warm up your spine and everything within your cat-cow. So that is cat-cow, and it is the second pose that we're really going to go over, but also just know that it's usually at the beginning of your practice as well, because it's a really good way to warm up the spine and the neck. Awesome, let's move on. So we have downward facing dog or Adho Mukha Savasana. And so I usually just call it Adho Mukha because it's a long name. So Adho Mukha, downward facing dog. This is like the OG yoga pose. This is one that is really, really, really important because it is a big foundation for many, many parts of your practice. But what are some of the benefits of downward facing dog? So it stretches out your hamstrings, your feet, your torso, your shoulders, things that we don't normally get stretched just living our day-to-day lives. It relieves tension in the spine, in the neck, but it also helps to strengthen your shoulders and your upper body while creating a little bit of a subtle inversion. And an inversion basically just means that we are dropping our head under our heart. So as you can see from this photo here, this person's head is under the heart. And that just allows us to increase circulation, which when we increase circulation, we are getting fresh blood and fresh oxygen to the brain. So that is why when we do inversions, after you're done, it might feel a little bit like a whoosh, but you might feel a little bit more present as well. And then lastly, this is where we find rest. And I know a lot of people are like, what? I like child's pose for us. And you can always take a child's pose. But Adho Mukha is where we rest whenever we're doing more vigorous flowing or vinyasas. So let us all break down downward facing dog. So find your mat. Come into your neutral tabletop, so just where we were. Curl your toes under and press into your palms as you lift the hips up and back. So downward facing dog, what is going on here? Your hands are shoulder width distance apart. So notice if you are bringing them too wide or too close together. So make them shoulder width distance. I also like to instruct that you bring your ears in line with your biceps. So notice if you're dropping your head back or looking forward, just neutral in the neck. Bring your ears between your biceps. And then notice how you can push into the heels of your palms so that you can melt your chest back towards the top of your thighs. All right, upper body's good. You're gonna find either a neutral shoulder position here, or maybe you slightly externally rotate the arms so that your elbows are shining forward. And then with your legs, it's okay if you're up here on your toes. In fact, I would rather you be on your toes and not completely flat. Like I'm not completely flat on my heels, because that's how you receive that benefit of the hamstring stretch, yeah? So now that we've done that upper body, slightly turn your big toes towards each other just so that you feel an internal rotation of the thighs, and that chooses, that allows you to lift the sits bones up a little higher, yeah? All right, come onto your knees. Let's shake it out. We're gonna do it one more time together. Shake it out. Normally you're not in down dog for that long, so don't worry. But we're gonna do it one more time. So back to your tabletop, curl the toes under, and then go right into it. See if you see a difference. And then another thing that we like to do here and say is pedal out your feet, yeah, from side to side. So I like to bend my knees. I also like to shake my head yes and shake my head no. And then also, I want you to play with lengthening and shortening your stance. Definitely take a look at me to see how far apart. I think I'm like about 1 meter from my hands and my feet. This would be way too short, and this would be way too long. So Goldilocks it out, find your good little average spot here. Awesome. And that is downward facing dog. It is definitely probably the most important pose that I'm going to be going over today, because it has everything to do with the practice. You're going to go into that pose all the time. Any questions about down dog before I move on? Nope, nope. Okay. So now we're going to go with Urdhvamukha? I forget. Urdhvamukha? Your favorite stretch, downward facing dog. Nice. Upward facing dog is what we're going to go over now, and cobra. So cobra pose and upward facing dog. So this is usually done after your chaturanga, which we're going to go over next week. But we also do this at the beginning of the practice when you're on your belly. So that's why I wanted to go over it today. So what does this do? It strengthens the shoulders and the back. Up dog also strengthens the triceps. It helps to open and stretch the chest and the heart, neck, abdomen. But the most important thing here is that we are being careful not to use our low back. So one thing that I always notice as a yoga teacher when I see students do up dog is that they dump into their low back or their lumbar spine. What we want to focus on is the middle of your back or your thoracic spine. So what does this all look like? Come onto your bellies. I'll go ahead and let Victoria in. So come into your bellies and plant your palms right underneath your shoulders. Yeah, so as you can see, that's where I am. Come onto the tops of your feet. We're going to do cobra pose first, okay? So with cobra, I want you to lift just your chest off of the mat. And as you can see, I'm tucking my chin towards my chest so that the back of my neck stays long. So I'm not crunching up with my neck. I'm not looking down like that. I'm keeping a long line through the neck. drawing my elbows back towards my ribs, and my shoulders really like melt down my spine. So this is cobra, baby cobra, more like it. And I'm pushing into the tops of my feet. So take one breath in, feel that lift, and exhale, release. So let's go ahead and try upward facing dog. You're going to press into the tops of your feet and into your palms, palms under the shoulders, remember. This time, we're going to lift ourselves off the mat. Let me move myself forward. We're gonna lift off the mat so that the tops of the thighs are hovering. I'm pressing into the feet. I'm drawing the chest forward, shoulders back. Let your throat open. And then you're lifting from the middle of your back. Go ahead and take a break here. Release. We're going to do that one more time. So press into the tops of your feet, and I want you to really think about lifting through the middle of your back. Ready? So as you inhale, you rise. Push into your mat, hover the hips, hover the thighs. Look forward, draw the shoulders back. And exhale, lower all the way down, release. Great job. So yes, that one can definitely be a little bit more difficult. And so that's why I showed you cobra as well, right? So cobra is like the baby version of up dog. So you choose what feels best in your practice. When a teacher calls up dog, you're always welcome to take cobra instead. But if you really want to do up dog and the teacher's calling cobra, you can also do up dog. They're somewhat interchangeable. Up dog has just a little bit more strength, but you would sync this up with an inhale. So any pose that sort of insinuates like expansion, lift, open is inhale. Yeah, awesome. Great job. Is your question? How do you avoid wrist pain? So it has a lot to do with stretching your wrists regularly. So we are on our phones, texting, typing a lot. Luckily, I stretch my wrists every day, so I don't experience this anymore. But it's about stretching your wrists every day. And what I like to do for that personally is, I'm going to show you like this. I like to bring my hand out in front, and I start by rotating my wrist out externally, and then bring my fingers towards my forearms, and you'll feel that like through the front, right? Now open out your hand again, come back the way you came, and then feel like your fingertips are coming back towards your arm. And you do that a couple of times. This gets me every time. It strengthens and stretches my wrists. So externally rotate from the pinky, fist, fingers in, every time it gets me. And then come back out and fingers back. I hope that helps. But do that as regularly as possible, preventatively speaking, so that when you go to do these postures, it's going to help you a lot. No worries. It happens to me all the time too. Cool. Good question, Ayana. Thank you. So forward fold, halfway lift. Another really basic one, but it's something that we call and do all the time. And it's just sort of like, okay, what is a halfway lift? I'm gonna show you. Don't worry. There's so many parts of a halfway lift and forward fold that we're gonna talk about. So the benefits though is that it's going to help to release low back and neck pain, stretches out your hamstrings. Again, it's a subtle inversion. Remember, head under heart. And for your halfway lift, it helps to prepare you for a deeper fold and for high planks. And it also helps to strengthen your core, your back, your hamstrings. And then lastly, we usually find rest in our forward folds. So I'm going to show you 3 variations of a forward fold and then 3 variations of a halfway lift actually. So You're going to be so prepared when you take your yoga class and all the teacher says is halfway lift, and you know which one you want to take, right? Because there's so many different ways to go about it. So let's start standing. And actually, let's start in your down dog. Yeah, start in your down dog so that we can walk the toes up to the mat. Yeah, so find your down dog, look forward, and then walk your toes up to meet your hands, bringing your feet hip width distance apart. And start by giving me a nice bend in the knees. So don't worry about straightening your knees. We're just bending them a little bit here. And I even have my belly resting on my upper thighs. All right, now you're going to grasp opposite elbows and start to sway from side to side. And this is called ragdoll pose. It is the first variation of the forward fold that we're going to go over. And so what we really want to focus on with ragdoll is the upper body hanging, which is why it's called ragdoll. And so I want you to feel like the crown of your head is pointing straight down and your upper body is like dead weight. It is heavy. So you're releasing the shoulders, you're releasing everything, and you sway from side to side. So this is ragdoll forward fold. Another variation of our forward fold is you can wrap your peace fingers, so your index and your middle finger, around your big toes. And again, bend your knees as much as you need to. You might be bent like this. That's totally fine. Because I know a lot of people can't touch their toes. It's okay. So just bend your knees as much as you want, just so that you can access this. You're going to press your big toe into your fingers, okay? Instead of trying to lift your toes off the ground, press your big toe into your fingers. And then from there, you can start to straighten your knees as much as you can. Does not need to look like mine. And wherever you're at, even if you're bent, I want you to bend your elbows so that you can draw your chest closer to your legs. So maybe your legs are straight, and then start to bend your elbows, draw the shoulders away from the ears as you bend the elbows. So this is Padisthasana, I think. So find that. Awesome. And then last variation of a forward fold is Gorilla Asana. So same thing, you're going to bend your knees as much as you need to so that you can slide your palms under the soles of your feet. And Diana, this is really good for your wrists as well. It's a really good wrist massage. So your palms are sliding under the feet, and slightly shift your weight into your toes, allowing the crown of your head again to release. And then same thing, you're using this resistance of stepping on your hands to draw your chest closer to the thighs. And so just release the crown of the head here. You should feel this all through the spine. Great, great job. Release the palms. All right, let's take an inversion break for a second because we just were upside down for a minute. So shake everything out. You should be feeling nice and rejuvenated. And then let's break down our halfway lifts. So forward fold, just regular. Just find a little forward fold reaching for your toes. So the first version of a halfway lift is bringing your palms to your upper thighs, to your quads. And the whole point here is that we're trying to make our spine really straight. So as you can see, my back is like a tabletop. You want to like have it as if somebody was going to put a glass of water and told you that you cannot drop it, okay? So I'm in this position. I'm drawing my elbows back towards my ribs and my shoulders away from my ears. And you probably are feeling the strength part of this right now. So that's one version. This one is a little bit more strengthening in that way. Another version is that you can bring your hands to your shins. And although I'm lower with my upper body, my back is still completely straight and neutral. And so you want to slightly lift your sits bones here. Again, draw the shoulders away from the ears. That's another version if you're a little bit more flexible. And then lastly, you can also bring the fingertips down to your mat. So a halfway lift here would look like this. So fingertips on the mat. I'm really focusing on the strength of my back and my core as I lift, but I'm still drawing the shoulders away from the ears. So let's try a couple of halfway lifts with a forward fold. So find your forward fold, release the crown of the head. And what we're gonna do is as you sync up the inhale with a halfway lift, lengthen, find your version. I'm gonna go with the shins, lengthen, and then exhale, fold. Find another version as you inhale, lengthen, feel the spine grow long, draw the shoulders away, and exhale, fold. Go ahead and find one more like that. Inhale, lengthen, halfway lift, and exhale, fold. Awesome. Great job. So that was forward fold, halfway lift, maybe too many versions, maybe too much information. Any questions about forward fold, halfway lift? Nada? Okay. So the last one is mountain pose or Tadasana, which always makes me chuckle a little bit because it makes me think like, ta-da, but it like, ta-da, I'm here, but it is our mountain pose. So you might be thinking, Victoria, mountain pose is just standing. And partially you are correct. You are. However, mountain pose also has a lot to do with your alignment. So mountain is the grandfather, the OG, the original, this is where alignment is in our practice, right? And you'll see why in a second. But it also helps to improve your posture the more that you do it with this alignment. And it's also very grounding, and it increases your sense of presence. Being more present with the way you're standing can be extremely grounding for a variety of reasons. If you're experiencing any anxiety or worry, right, maybe practicing Tadasana this way is going to help you feel a little bit more grounded as well. So let's stand. Let's do our mountain pose together. So, yeah, you're not going to be able to see me. Let me lift it up a little bit. So, all right, now you can see me there. So find a standing posture, and it could be facing me. It could be facing the front of your mat. Just listen to my cues and you'll be good. So start with your feet. Go ahead and stand hip width distance apart, right? This is already the first point of alignment. We're stacking the hips over the ankles, right? So that way our bones are stacked. Next, go ahead and ground down through the four corners of your feet. So that's going to be the spot right under your big toe, the spot right underneath your pinky toe, the inner edge of your heel, and the outer edge of your heel. So maybe you're like, whoa, I've never been so aware of my feet before. That's the point. So find those four corners of your feet and then ground down into those, yeah? Okay, feet, check. So start to travel up the legs now. And I'm gonna turn for this so you can see what I'm talking about. We're gonna talk about the hip and the pelvis area. So even myself, still naturally, I like to pop out the booty just because I don't know, it feels more comfortable for me sometimes to just like slightly stick out my belly in this way. Not sure why, but I think a lot of us do. So go ahead and bring one hand to the belly, one hand to the low back. And I want you to just feel yourself draw your tailbone under so that you have a slight tucking of the pelvis, okay? So just go ahead and do that. Now at the same time, you might notice that your belly button is engaged or your core starts to become engaged. So focus on that, right? So remember the feet too though. Our feet are the four corners of the feet. We're tucking the pelvis under, engaging the core. All right, what else is happening? All while we're standing. At the same time, I want you to notice if you're stacking your heart over your pelvis. So stack chest over hips. Chest over hips. So notice if you're sticking everything out. Can you come in? Hands back to your sides. And now drop the shoulders away from the ears and down the back. So drop the shoulders, fingertips spread wide. And then lastly, what's going on with your head, right? Head is over heart. So another thing that we do sometimes is stick our heads out like that for some reason. So draw your chin back slightly so that your neck is pulling back. And then you're relaxing the shoulders and allowing the crown of your head to shine so that you almost like grow a centimeter or so, right? Like, can you just almost imagine yourself growing from the feet up through the spine and through the crown of your head? So stand up nice and tall, noticing all of these components standing. Maybe close your eyes here, take a full breath in. Exhale out. Awesome. Bring your hands to heart center. Take a second here to just come back to this moment, noticing how you feel. So, do I have any questions about Mountain Tadasana pose? Nope. Okay. Well, my loves, that is all I have for you today. So please practice is what I'm going to recommend. Please practice what you've learned today and see how it benefited you, and where can you incorporate these things just when you're hanging around the house. I love doing a deep forward fold when I'm cooking sometimes. Just like if I'm waiting for it to cook, I'm like, what would feel great? Forward fold. Things like that, right? Just know that yoga does not need to only be on your mat. Yoga can be anywhere at any given time. So these are all things that are in your toolbox now, not only for when you practice yoga in the future, when you take class, you're more aware of the alignment, you're more aware of the benefits and what poses are what. However, you are also maybe hopefully more equipped to do these things every day as well. So please fill out the evaluation. It is on screen, and unfortunately we do not have the official photo or or the t-shirts yet, but just to give you all information on what the giveaway is for this. Attending one workshop means that you are eligible for the tote bag that we are going to get, which says just here for the Shavasana. And Shavasana is the pose where you just lay down, and it has a cute little kitty on it, and the kitty's laying down. And there's a matching shirt as well that we are getting. So if you attend 3 workshops, then you will get the matching shirt as well. There will be 5 workshops in total, which I should have written them here on the calendar, but I'm sure you all have seen the other days as well, and they're on our Panther Connect events website. So definitely take a look to see when those are happening. And that is all I have for you today. However, as always, I will be sticking around while you're filling out your evaluation. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask me those as well. But if you don't have any questions, you are free to head out, and hopefully I will see you next week as well. So thank you.
Just like a name I remember hearing. Wild winters, warm coffee. Mom's gone. Do you love me? Blazing summer, cold coffee. Baby's gone. Do you love me? Wrap me in your arms. I can feel it burn.
Thank you, Ayana. I appreciate it. Thank you, Celeste.
Rock me in your arms. I can feel it burn. Get up, get down. Get up, get down. Be the general attention and stop. See the next one waiting. Get up, get down. Get up, get down. Get up. Sit in the same with a pair of feet change. Get up, get down. Get up, get down.
Kelly, not sure if you are still around, but hopefully you were able to receive the evaluation and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and end the Zoom meeting now. However, thank you so much, and I hope you have a good day, okay?